There we go, we are live. So thank you for joining me once again. This is a impromptu show on a Monday. I usually do it on a Tuesday, but I've got a bit of free time tonight, so I thought I'd get it done out of the way tonight. So welcome everyone to this week's Brum is Blue show. It is February the 14th, Valentine's Day here, 2022, and I am, as always, Craig Hadley. We begin this week's show by looking back at the 2-0 defeat from Sunday's game against Tottenham Hotspur at St Andrews. Goals from Ashley Neville and Ria Percival gave Spurs all 3 points, with Blues lacking any chances of note themselves at the end of the park. Birmingham City were compact for most of the game, often playing with a back five, looking to counter with the pace of Libby Smith. Let's take a look at the goals then, as we then delve deeper into where I think the issues were on Sunday. If you've got questions, as always, just drop them in the chat. I will take a look at them when I get the chance to, or we'll do the show. Of course, this is live. If you're watching this back on YouTube, drop a comment below and I'll get back to you when I can. So let's look at the action then. We can see this is the first goal then. So I think it's pretty much a clever move here from Tottenham. We'll watch it in one way and then we'll go back over it again in a second, but there we go. So Ashley Neville pokes the ball in there. So if we go back to where the action starts, I think it's a real clever move here. So the corner kick is taken, and you can see the runner here, Keris Harrop. She makes the run in the middle of the pitch, and she pulls Lisa Robertson out of position. Beatrice Sari there is trying to hold a position to hold out Naz there. And obviously, because she is Keris Harrop makes a good, clever run here. Obviously, Beatrice moves away to intercept that challenge there from Harrop. Harrop then opens a space up there for Naz to obviously have a free rein on the edge of the area with no defenders looking to get to her. So she gets the ball here from the corner kick taker here. We'll pause it there. So obviously in this position, she's got a free run into the box. No one's going to be able to slow her down before she gets the shot away. She gets the shot away. It's Ria Percival in the centre there. She's causing confusion in front of the goalkeeper because you expect her to get the header onto it. So obviously Emily Ramsey there is thinking that she's going to get a touch on it. She doesn't, and then Emily Ramsey has any seconds to react to it. She reacts, doesn't make the most of it, but obviously once the ball falls to Ashley Neville in the box, she's dangerous and obviously pokes the ball home. Good quick reactions from the Tottenham players. And she taps home the rebound. So perhaps you could say the keeper could have done better there, but the runner, as I said, Percival, I do believe that she makes Ramsey think that she's not going to get to it, and she gambles. And obviously, too late to react to that one. But yeah, I thought great movement from Spurs here. I think Keris Harrop in particular, that run inside, bringing the two defenders away from her, giving Naz a free rein to shoot on goal, was a big moment in that. And obviously, something Blues themselves, that sort of great build-up play we were lacking in our own game as well. So I'll get on to the second goal now then. It's a bit further on in the highlights. Just bear with me to find the right spot. So here he is. In this position, we'll start on where we are here though. So the second goal is leads from this bit of play. On the right-hand side there, Tottenham have the ball ready to put into the box. Blues have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 players in and around the box with Beatrice a bit further out there. Tottenham have 3 players of note in the box who potentially could cause issues for Birmingham City in this incident. But as you can say, you'd say reasonably good defensive shape from Birmingham City at this point. With watch out for Rachel Williams, number 10 at the back post here. She makes a great run where Jamie Finn loses her completely, and then once she's got ahead of the defender, causes an issue, and then Ria Percival pops it into the goal at the back post. The issues, of course, if we go back in this one, the positioning of Ria Percival in this one, she does look to be in an offside position. Obviously, Birmingham City players react like as if she did cause an offside in the build-up to this. So we'll watch it again. Watch the position of Ria Percival when the ball is played through, just after then, but she is obviously ahead of Louise Quinn, and keeper, so she's obviously in an offside position. Only one defensive player is the right side of the goal, so that does look like she's offside, but we'll go back again to look at it because I think I know why the referee gave the goal. I think she thinks the ball comes off Gemma Lawley and not Rachel Williams in this. And then it goes, obviously, not offside if it comes off the defensive player in the build to the goal. So I think that is possibly why I'm torn if it is actually offside or not, because I think it's impossible to really see at this speed from this one camera angle to see who it came off. But if it is indeed Lawley, then that's obviously why it wasn't given an offside, despite the protestations from the Blues side. But once again, it's a contentious decision that has gone the wrong side for the Blues, which is unfortunate given what happened last week in that Leicester City game with the wrong sending off. But it's another one where we're quite contentious issues. We've got some messages in the chat. I'll try and answer them. Do you think there's a chance we can stay up? I am Ward. I believe there's still a chance, as long as it's mathematically possible and you've got players who are capable of creating something. I think we've got a chance. It's unlikely, but you never say never. And stranger things have happened, haven't they? We beat Arsenal a few weeks back. So another question for them. If you see us getting a win soon, against who? Durham, possibly in the FA Cup. That's going to be a tough game. They're a very physical side, and I think we've seen Birmingham have shied away a bit in recent games in terms of the physicality of the midfield. So that could be a potentially tricky tie, but we've always got a chance if you play to the best of our abilities. But in summary, in this game anyway, regardless of the legality of the second goal, Birmingham City's issues in scoring remain their biggest downfall. In terms of the shots on target, we only had 2 shots in this game with only 4 attempts at all. So 2 out of 4 on target in the entire 90 minutes. If we compare that to Spurs, who had 15 shots with 7 of those on target, you begin to see the difference the Blues need to make up in order to get something from games like this. Tottenham are on a great run of form, but still, we're not showing any attacking impetus to get goals. And obviously, if you concede 1 or 2, it's going to be a massive hill to climb if we can't even get 1. So not every team needs to be a possession-based team. Obviously, we only had about 27% possession against Spurs, but you have to be smart with what you do with the ball, even if you don't have that much of the ball. And on Sunday, Birmingham didn't keep the ball well enough, and what they did get into Spurs' half, they were often getting in each other's way or misplacing a simple pass. Birmingham attempted 277 passes throughout the game, completing just 133 of them. That's less than 50% of their passes. Spurs, in comparison, attempted 641 passes and completed 501, which is a whopping 78% in comparison. That's 28% more than Birmingham City. It also doesn't help the fans when you see a really lack of plan going forward, or perhaps that's a bit unfair. There's an unwillingness to mix it up when things are not working. The aim, from my point of view, was to soak up the pressure and then release Smith on the break with her pace over the top. The problem often was that Smith was up against 2 centre-backs or even more defenders, and even if she retained the ball, the support wasn't getting up to her quick enough to really cause any attacking options. And you got to press as a team and force that mistake, and you can't expect Smith to do it alone. We saw it last week via Tricky Sorry trying to take on most of the team. You can't rely on 1 or 2 attacking players to make the crucial difference in these games. You need the whole team to be pushing up and supporting as best we can when we do get the chance to have an attacking threat. And I don't see enough of that from the midfield in the attacking third. And according to FB Ref, let's go over to the stats for this one. I'll quickly move over to it. If we look at the stats from FB Ref, they're kind of specialists in football statistics. The 3 players who carried the ball furthest in this game. Let's go to that one. So that's possession, and then carries in terms of distance covered, basically, in terms of with the ball. So once they got the ball, how far in terms of yardage they got as players. And remarkably, the 3 players to carry the ball furthest in this game were Via Tricky Sorry. That's no surprise. She's very good with dribbling on the ball. Jade Pennock, another winger, you'd expect her to be on the ball and running at the opposition. But the third one you'll see on the list, well, you can't see it because it's behind my head, I apologise. But the third one, which might surprise you, is Emily Ramsey was the third one with a whopping 84 yards compared to most of the team, which is crazy. But your keeper should not be carrying the ball forward over 90 minutes more than your midfield, your fullbacks, and especially your front line. Smith can be forgiven to a degree as she often has to run onto the pass. She's making the run onto the ball rather than running with the ball. But we saw a few issues with Lucy Quinn this week, unfortunately. 6 players carried the ball forward more than her over the course of the game, including 2 defenders and the goalkeeper. She attempted just 12 passes, completing only 4 of them. Only the substitutes completed less passes than her on Sunday. It seems like she's going through a bit of a tough patch at the moment, which is unfortunate, but it's not fair to expect everything from her. And I think giving her a rest maybe in the next few games might get that pressure off her. I think that she's been put on as one of the senior players to perform, and I think she needs a bit of a break. And let's see what the others can do. Obviously, like the likes of the Irish contingent, Whelan, Ryan Doyle. I just want to see a willingness to adjust and mix it up really going forward. And at least for me, I think with Sari, you've got that player who's got a bit of a magic and can make things happen, and she needs that to be that player you build this team around. And I think once you've got that solid back 4, and then you've got 2 battlers in the midfield as holding midfielders, the likes of Christie and Lisa Robertson. I think then you've got the option to play like 3 behind the striker or play a 4-4-1-1. Either way, I think Sari needs to be that player behind the striker to try and create form and try and license to like roam, create some magic and work some opportunities behind the striker, whoever it is, if it's Ewins or Smith or Quinn or Pennock. You need that player behind the striker to get us further up the pitch and create some special, take some players on, give time for other players to get back into the game as well. We know Christy Murray also has a killer pass, so having her further up forward might also help, but obviously she's an important ball winner at the moment for us. As I mentioned, Lisa Robertson also had a really good game on Sunday. Despite the result, I thought she completed a lot of forward passes as opposed to passing it back or sideways. She also showed a lot of fight, getting that tackles in, despite playing on a left back at times. I think left wing back, utilised against Spurs. There might have been a tactical change to try and combat the speed of Tottenham going forward. But yeah, there's a lot of points we can point out about this game, a lot of trends we've seen in recent matches. But before I get onto that, I'll get a few more chats that we see in here. Let's see, another chat from IMR Ward. They ask, what about in the league? Maybe Everton, they look in poor form at the moment. Yeah, I think Everton are not in the best of form. They're obviously looking for their 3rd manager of the season. And I think they're a team that you would be looking to get points off. And then you've got to see where else we can pick up points if we can get the Everton. Because if Everton start dropping like a stone, as they have been, we need to capitalise on it before they turn the form around, because they can't be that bad forever, because they've got some quality players in that team. Iron Ward also asks, what I find strange is how we managed to beat Arsenal and played excellently, and we can't beat the likes of Spurs and Leicester and Reading. Maybe Arsenal didn't expect us to play well. I think that's part of it. I think part of it was the pressure was off, because Arsenal are such a quality team. You expect you expect them to win, so there was no pressure on Birmingham to get anything from it. So maybe they played better because of that. And then in games when they expect to get something from, like the likes of Leicester, they didn't. They felt that pressure, and they were overcame by it. I think that might be possible. No, it's fine to ask questions. I don't mind answering your questions. We've got another question here from IMR Ward. Why isn't Darren starting Sarah Ewins? I'm not sure. I think there's a lot of fans who are questioning why Sarah's not getting more minutes. She came on around the 65th minute, I think, a game against Spurs this week when we were already 1-0 down. I think for someone, I know the quality of the Scottish League isn't as good as the WSL, but with someone who finished 2nd top scorer, I think, with 14 goals last season, the fact that because she had one injury, they're not deciding not to pick her now. Maybe she's not showing it in training, but I don't know why, when you're lacking goals, you're not going to be willing to play a player who we know can score goals, even if it's at a different level. There's still the same skill, and if you get her in the right position, she will put it in the back of the net. So hopefully in the future we will see more of Sarah going forward. Going back to my notes, let's see what we've got. So we were talking about trends of what was happening in recent matches. I think the movement, it all comes back down to movement for me. Take the throw-ins, for example, on Sunday. Whoever it was taking them, Robertson was the one who's taken them predominantly on Sunday. There was a lack of movement from her teammates in order to create options from the chance from the touchline. We need players to show for it. We need players to keep moving, give her options, because if you're static, you're just waiting for the ball. And I think Spurs will be happy with that all day because they won't have to work for it. If you make them have to think about what they're doing, they could make a mistake and you could capitalise on that and get something from the game. And as the case was on Sunday, if you're going to play a back five, you need to have players overlapping to create the width, because you've got the width from the 5 players across the back. If you're not making the most of the width, there's no point playing 5 at the back, because you're just inviting more pressure, because you've got not much attacking options. You've not got much in the midfield. You just need to make the most of whatever formation you're using, and I don't think we did that. We were going more central, if anything, with the players, and they're running into each other. I think Lucy Quinn and Via Tricky-Sari got in each other's way a few times. They're both players who want to play around in and around the box, but if they're you can't have them both play in the same position, because it's a waste of opportunities, isn't it? You need to spread out, give them options, and cause issues for the Spurs defence. Obviously, it's not over though, and we have to be savvier in what we do. Be bold in the right areas and create our own luck, because we can't let the officials ruin the game for us. You have to rely on yourselves to get the result. You have to score more goals than the other team, and if there is a dodgy decision, then the goals make sure that it's not going to cost you in the game. And unfortunately, in recent games, we've seen that it has cost us, and we just need to be better about creating chances and testing the keeper, because we haven't tested the keeper in the last few games. Leicester, they had an easy ride. Spurs, 2 shots on target. I can't remember 2 shots on target, so that they can't have been that great of shots, to be honest. I think Sari had one early on that caused the keeper to tip it around, but it wasn't. I don't think it was going to threaten her, really. She was just making sure it didn't sneak into the goal when she had the opportunity. But we had a bit of a match reaction from the manager, Darren Carter. He spoke to the media after the game and he had this to say: "I thought our shape out of possession was good in the first half. We looked a threat on the transition, but we did not create enough chances. To concede from a set piece is disappointing. It is a massive point of the game, and we kind of switched off. The players have given everything, but our quality on the ball let us down today." And I think that's a fair comment. I think the passes we did have, they were sloppy. There was often simple passes, just a simple pass from about 5 or 10 yards, and they weren't putting enough on the ball. I don't know if they were just too overconfident with the pass. They're thinking, oh, it's an easy pass, and then obviously they lose it, and then we're under pressure straight away. And it's got to be something we improve on in future games. We've got another one from IMR Ward. Very popular one today. Thank you for being in the chat with us. Back again. Do you think it was a tactical move for Leicester to get a new manager before the Blues game, as we were on a poor run of form and they knew they needed to win? I think after the Leicester game where they won at the King Power, I don't know if the change was before then or after, but after that, certainly it was like they knew that they were comfortable and they could be willing to make a change. And I think it wasn't going to get any better under Jonathan Morgan, but obviously there's a lot of loyalty for what he has done over the years for the club, because it's a very family-run orientated club, with the way that Leicester City have moved through the leagues over the years. But it is a shame that they made the change. But obviously Lydia Bedford looks like she's going to be long term now, because she said she was going to stay on if they stayed up, and it looks like they will do. So it's obviously a tactical move, because obviously Blues made the change as well when it did. I didn't know if it was the right call at the time, but only time will tell, of course. Looking forward then, we've got some international football coming over the next few weeks. Since our last show, we've had more call-ups across the squad, with Jamie Finn, Louise Quinn and Lucy Quinn off to Spain to take part in the Pinatar Cup for Republic of Ireland. They will face Poland in the first round of the competition on Wednesday afternoon, with the winners taking on either Russia or Hungary on Saturday. Also joining them in Spain will be the Scottish duo of Christy Murray and Lisa Robertson, who will face fellow UK side Wales in the first round, also on Wednesday afternoon. Both of those games are live on television. As you can see on the screen, Wales plays Scotland. It'll be on BBC Alba and BBC Sports Online, I believe. And the Ireland-Poland game will be on TMP Sport, which is a Polish channel. I'm not sure if it's geo-blocked. If you do, you know how to find a VPN server, and you can probably find a stream of it somewhere for that one. But yep, the winners of the Scottish-Wales game will play the winners of Slovakia and Belgium in the semi-finals. Also off with their national teams will be Rebecca Holloway, who joins Northern Ireland also for a warm training camp in Spain. They will be taking on 3 friendlies during that time, facing the Faroe Islands, Switzerland and Romania ahead of the upcoming qualifiers for the next tournament. Beatrice Sari, it was announced today that she will be take part with the Greece side as they take on Israel over the weekend, 19th. I think that's the Friday, and then they're also playing on the Monday. But it's not being. But yeah, she's set to fly out. She's probably flying out now, to be honest. But yeah, good luck to them as well. And the final one to talk about is Emily Ramsey, who'll be spending time with the under-23s. Mo Marley's side will be scheduled to take a few games against France on Thursday and Sunday. So keep up to the score updates on Twitter for that one in particular. But as I said, best of luck to all the Blues players going away with their national teams this week. And hopefully they come back raring to go and fit, ready for the next fixture, which is against Durham in the league. But a little, it's not, I don't know if it's going to be a rant, but it's a bit of a thoughts of mine anyway, ahead of the going forward anyway. Regardless of what happens at the end of the season, I think we need to talk about what's been happening at the club, and I think it's important to talk more general about my thoughts of what is happening in the Blues at the moment. There's been a lot of anger from Blues fans right now, particularly the men's side, for the way the owners have managed the club in recent years, failing to see how the very foundations of St Andrews were wearing away to the points that rusted away. They can't even have fans in certain areas of the ground because it's so bad that they've let it just fall by the wayside. They haven't kept their eye on the ball. I think a similar thing, it's not to that degree, but Man United's Old Trafford stadium is in disrepair. It's not been improved in years. But St Andrews, some of the pictures that came out from that one, it's absolutely shocking, isn't it, what's happened? But it's all a bit of a cluster F, as we would say, and the issues do, of course, affect the women's team as well. And we've read all the media reports over the last year. There was an abundance of reports leaking out of the club last year. I don't know where they came from, but obviously when people have displeasure, you want to get it out because nothing's going to change if you let it stew and just get worse and worse. And obviously last year was in particular a really tough time for everyone involved with the club, fans included. And we saw that those infamous images now of the rehabilitation centre, that porter cabin, that small room where people were rehabbing from ACL injuries and the like. And it's just terrible, terrible to see. And hopefully that's something in the past now. But it all showed a level of real not caring, a real apathy from the club. And I might be a bit naive to say this, but I don't believe the owners to be bad people. I think the financial investment that the women's team have had since they came in have risen year on year. That might be to help, partly due to sponsorship deals and the league money and stuff. But I think in terms of the bulk of the money, they are putting money in. But with the way that Chelsea and Man City and Arsenal and the likes of those can put in much, much more money, but it's a drop in the bucket compared to what we are. Compared to the budget that the club have, it's a sizable amount of money they do put in the women's side, but it's not enough to compete again against the likes of Chelsea and Arsenal and those sorts of sides now. But I think the main issue for me is that they trusted the wrong people to oversee the system, and that's the problem. Mismanagement has cost us a lot. Birmingham City as a women's team was a shining example of how a club with limited means could thrive and did things the right way. We had a great academy. We had players who you were proud. They were players who had been there a long time. There was consistency in the club. There was people in the backroom staff. There's people in the coaching staff, people in the higher up positions in the club who had been there a long time and knew what they were doing and did the best they could with limited means. And you had people in positions, as I said, who knew what they were doing, football people who had links to the club. I feel for people like Sarah Westwood, who is the current general manager of the team. They were thrown into the deep end as a result of circumstances. She was brought in to be like the second in command to the general manager at the time, and now has the big job herself. Probably much sooner than she would have imagined in her wildest dreams that she'd become a general manager within a year of just working for the club. Going from managing a team in the National League to going to be one of the key opponents of a WSL club. And her predecessor had years of experience and was well respected in that role. She's now at Spurs. Funnily enough, for someone new to this role to come in and expect the same would be incredibly harsh so soon. And I don't believe those above Sarah were much help either, and it meant we were playing catch-up at the worst possible time. You had a squad of quality players, the likes of Ellen White, Aoife Mannion, those sorts of players, quality players who have gone on to big and better things since then. A manager, Marta Hedhedor, no one seemed to gel with. She wasn't given the best of help either. The fact that she coming from another country, and she was coming into Birmingham in a very terrible weather conditions. She was staying in a hotel. She didn't have a family around her. She didn't have any. I'm guessing she didn't have any places, any Spanish restaurants. I don't think when I spoke to her, she didn't know any Spanish restaurants nearby that she could go to. So it's there's a lot of little things you could do to improve the situation, and I think we let it slip through the net. And I think you got that, and then you combine it with a GM who's learning the ropes on the job, and then you've got long-term directors departing, people who have been involved in the financial side of the club for a long time. They went. There was a reshuffle in the men's side to do with that as well. Academy coaches departed. A lot of them went to Villa. Players soon followed. We know a lot of them went to Villa as well. The dominoes falling one by one as the club continued to exist, and yet was sinking with no lifeboats in sight. And having to leave our adopted home of Damson Park, somewhere we held our home for year after year, somewhere we were happy, somewhere the results didn't always go the right way, but we felt at home there. It felt like our home. We came to somewhere that we were using as a home once a season, somewhere which was a special occasion, but it didn't feel like ours. And season after season of new squads, players leaving, pretty much a new squad coming in every year for the last 3 years, and it just piles up on you, doesn't it? And there's no real interaction with the squad as well. It all has an impact on the fan base, and every decision, no matter how small, has a big impact on the mood within the fans. What was once a beacon of the community now feels like St Andrews in its current state. Empty, cracking at the edges, and a need of some TLC. I don't say all this to be a negative person. I'm quite a positive person. I used to be very negative, but I feel like I'm more positive as I've grown up, a bit more wiser. I want nothing more than to see us rise again as a great club, regardless of the league we play in. If it's the WSL, the Championship, the National League, I just want the team and the club to be respected again for what it once was. Build those bridges with the fans. Start small, and we can start to rebuild our image once more. A lot of fans tell me they're still baffled by the continued restrictions about speaking to players after matches, whilst other clubs seem to have relaxed theirs. There's a lot of I don't know if I'd use the word anger, but there's a lot of annoyance, I'll put it that way. To put it bluntly, the players feel like strangers to some fans. We've had squad after squad leave. We had a pandemic where we couldn't see the players at all for a whole season, and pretty much half of those have already gone as well. And that splintered the connection between the fans and the club as a whole. And I think this isn't Berlin, but I'm not David Hasselhoff, but we need to knock down this metaphorical wall between us. It's time to bring the fans and players together again in a sensible fashion, like the good old days at the Moors. That's just a small start to what I think can be a big change for the club, and how we can let last season be a distant memory in the past now, and let the players be able to brag about how great this club is by creating the atmosphere and the environment to thrive once again behind the scenes. You need to find decent accommodation for the players. If the players are coming from abroad, you need to speak to them and ask what they need in terms of the comforts at home to make them feel welcome, so they don't feel homesick and need to leave. If not, find ways to achieve that. Find people in the area who could help. Find the community groups. Let them build new friendship groups and stuff. Help them settle in, because it's not easy coming to a different club, especially with the amount of players coming from Ireland this year. It must be hard for them. If they didn't have the Irish players to bounce off of, I don't think it would have been as easy for a lot of them to adjust to living in the Midlands. And Harriet Scott spoke to an Irish podcast a few days ago after the defeat to Leicester City, speaking about the importance of dual careers, or at least thinking of them as an option. Football isn't forever, and we know for the foreseeable future the money in the game, in the women's game in particular, isn't enough to live on and retire on especially. They have to do something after football, even if it is football related. And I would love to see the club invest more in the future of the players. Give them options, build links with local colleges, and if those links are already available, make them more clearer so players can get the most of them, and make the players want to come to Birmingham again. Make it a destination where players will tell their friends at other clubs about how great things are and encourage them to come once again. I feel like connections not only from the club to the players, clubs to the fans, clubs to the agents, it doesn't feel like we are creating a positive atmosphere in the football community, and we think we need to start again and create those strengthen those and create those positive bonds, and hopefully then we'll create more positive press and we will have all the bad stories behind us going forward. It doesn't always have to be financial, these changes. You just need to show them a higher level of respect, and they'll give you respect and loyalty in return for that. Think outside the box, build them up, and watch them flourish. That's all from me. Thank you for watching. It's been a bit of a weird show, but I hope you've enjoyed it. If you've enjoyed this, please subscribe to the channel, like the video if you want to see more on the YouTube. And once again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you again next week.